morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. My name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful spiritual community. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. And thank you all for joining us today, physically in person and also online. Before we get started, I have a few announcements. Unfortunately, we were looking so forward to Come Sing With Me workshop today, but it will be postponed, and we will announce a new date as Beverly gets well. So please keep her in your prayers. We are back for Wednesday evening guided meditation at 6 and E-Squared workshop at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. Please join us. It's open to all, and it's so much fun. And we're going to do experiment number 2 and then also number 3. So join us for that. It's a lot of fun. We are looking ahead, save the date. Sacred Gong Meditation with Terry Wilder is coming up Sunday, July 17. And then Summer Fun Lunch Paint with Karen Thomas. It's such a long name. It's on July 31st, so please save those dates. And of course, come every Sunday. And in August, Daniel Naiman is coming. And his concert is on Saturday the 13th of August. So please join us for that. And summer raffle is also in August. And there's a lot of activities to join in. And of course, we're here every Sunday. So please join us to just have fun and raise funds for our center. I think that's it for me, and I'm going to pass it on to Carol.
Okay, let's just turn within right now and join with me as we center ourselves and find that place at the center of our being, and just allow our hearts and our minds to come together as we recognize the divinity within each one of us, and knowing that we are all connected wherever we may be, here or at home. We are always one in spirit, one in life, one in love, and one in mind. And we recognize that from this place of oneness, our service is a joy and an inspiration to everyone. And I speak a word of blessing to all who have made this possible today for us to enjoy. I thank our Board of Trustees, my fellow practitioners, our wonderful musicians, the ushers, Coffee Fellowship, Tomoko for all her work in the office and for teaching on Wednesdays, the children and the teachers of our junior church, and a special word of thanks and blessing to our minister, Reverend Dr. Bill Salisbury. And we know that we will hear exactly what we're supposed to hear today from his message. And we are grateful for everyone here. And we thank and bless everyone as we celebrate love, joy, and peace. I know this service is a blessing to us all, and so it is.
I need to
morning. My name's Carol Riseling, and I'm a practitioner here at our center. And today I have a piece written by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and he was the founder of the Church of Divine Science, and this is from his book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. A distant relative of mine went to a celebrated crystal gazer in India and asked the woman to read his future. The seer told him that he had a bad heart, and she predicted that he would die at the next new moon. My relative was aghast. He called up everyone in the family and told them about the prediction. He met with his lawyer to make sure his will was up to date. And when I tried to talk him out of his conviction, he told me that the crystal gazer was known to have amazing occult powers, and she could do great good or harm to those she dealt with. He was convinced of the truth of this, and as the new moon approached, he became more and more withdrawn. A month before, this man had been happy, healthy, vigorous, and robust, but now he was an invalid. And on the date predicted, he had a heart attack and died. He died not knowing that he was the cause of his own death. How many of us have heard similar stories and shivered a little at the thought that the world is full of mysterious, uncontrollable forces? Yes, the world is full of forces, but they are neither mysterious or uncontrollable. My relative killed himself by allowing a powerful suggestion to enter into his subconscious mind. He believed in the crystal gazer's powers, and so he accepted her prediction completely. So let's take another look at what happened, knowing what we do about the way the subconscious mind works. Whatever the conscious reasoning mind of a person believes, the subconscious mind will accept and act upon. My relative was in a suggestible state when he went to see the fortune teller, and she gave him a negative suggestion, and he accepted it. He became terrified. He constantly told everyone that he was going to die. And as he prepared for his life to end, his own fear and expectation of the end was accepted by his true subconscious mind, and that brought about his death. The woman who predicted his death had no more power than the stones and sticks in the field. Her suggestion in itself had no power to create or bring about the end. If he had known the laws of his mind, he would have completely rejected the negative suggestion and refused to give her words any attention. He could have easily neutralized and dissipated her suggestion with no harm to himself. Instead, through lack of awareness and knowledge, he allowed it to end his life. In themselves, the suggestions of others have no power over you. Whatever power they have, they gain because you give it to them through your own thoughts. You have to give your mental consent. You have to entertain and accept the thought. At that point, it becomes your own thought, and your subconscious works to bring it into existence. So remember, you have the capacity to choose. Choose life, choose love, and choose health. And now let us pray. Just turning within and knowing that there is only one infinite power, and that power is for good and we can use it. We are one with it. It lifts our hearts and our minds, filling us with love and perfection. We are connected to that one power and that one source, and nothing can ever cut off that connection. Focusing on perfect health and releasing all thoughts of any negative harm, sickness, and fear, we go forward in the light with the Spirit as our guide, for Spirit is within each one of us, divinely directing our lives. There are no divisions and no quarrels. This is the source of our being, divine love. We are thankful for this truth, and I release this truth into the law, and so it is.
If I could give one gift to you, as solid as the morning dew, a window pane that light shines through, the places in between us, a gift for you my heart would bring, the sweet release of everything, the breath I take before I sing, the spaces in between us, trusting in what might arise, without a thought preceding, as simple as a baby's sigh, resting and receiving. It's not what keeps our souls apart, but what connects and dreams us, the vast potential of the heart, the spaces in between us. So I offer what my heart has found, the silent love that's all around, a symphony without a sound, the spaces in between us. If I could give you more than this, let it be forever's kiss, mindful of my mindlessness, the spaces in between us. said between us.
Wow, that's Debbie Ebert and Richard O'Hara. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have Richard, and our first time here, I think, for you. Wow. I hope you'll be back. So, good morning. Good morning. I am Reverend Bill Salisbury, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Continuing with our overarching theme of rising above the fray. I don't know why I get laughed at. I mean, yeah, today's talk title is The Donkey That Fell in the Well. What's wrong with that? That's as spiritual as any other title I think we could have come up with today. You know, and somebody said, yeah, man, how do I even find a reading that goes along with that? And of course, my reply was, you know, doesn't matter what the title of the talk is. We only have one talk in Science of Mind. That's about that power and presence that is surrounding us and which is within us and within which we are and we live and move and have our being, and that is the power that overrides every other possible power. So when Carol was talking in her reading about different powers, sure, we have them, and some are real and some are not. Yeah, that's not how I wanted to start, though. I wanted to mention this. To wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. Khalil Gibran, from his poem on love. Because that is what this power is to us. It's what it brings to us. It's how it brings us. It is what created us, and it is how we were created. That is the true power. That is the story of what is. Now, we can misconstrue that. Not that any of us would do that. But perhaps we've known somebody at some point in our lives who has maybe stepped on one side or the other of that, and we didn't really recognize that abundance of love that they were and that they were sharing with us and they were giving to us at that time. Sometimes it might even have taken years for us to realize the import of what was being said, done, or thought at that time. I don't know, maybe sometimes we never do get to that point. But the fact of the matter is, of course the miracle students know this, everything in the world, everything that ever happens is either love or a call for love. So if it's love, how do we respond? Well, I would hope we'd respond in kind. And if it's a call for love, how would we respond? Well, I would hope that we would offer up that what is being called for. It's that old adage, we need to be the person in any situation that we would like to have had in front of us when we were in a like situation. And it's so easy sometimes to get caught up in the hubbub and in the rat race and in the world and the conditions that we're burdened with, if you will, and kind of lose sight of that. But the fact is, our job, our purpose, our only reason for being here is to keep sight of that at all times. And oh, I know, you might slip a little bit, or I don't know, you ever just go off on a little tangent here and there? Or sometimes, I don't know, maybe just take a complete left turn. It's okay, we can correct that course. All we have to do is remember what it is we're here for and how to go about doing that. And how do we go about doing that? Well, we go about doing that by remembering that there is a natural, spiritual law in effect. And this isn't really the old chicken and egg thing, you know, I mean, which came first, or which did come first? Life, creation, or that spiritual law? Well, the fact is, by just a nanosecond, but as well as being simultaneously, they came together because in the beginning, remember, was the Word. And God breathed the Word upon the waters. Simply meaning that it was that conscious intelligence, that divine mind that breathed the thought, which was the Word. The thought became the Word and says upon the waters, and I know sometimes we hear upon the void, right? Get that out of your head. There's no such thing as void. There is no void. It's like Debbie was singing about the spaces between us. Well, we don't have to throw something across the spaces between us because the spaces between us are connected by the divine energy that makes up each of us and that we envelop in these bodies that we bring forth with us. So first the Word, which spawned all of creation, a thought in the mind of God. Scientists are going to call this the Big Bang. We know that. And that's okay. We're people. We have this habit. We got to call everything something. The problem is, once we call something something, we then take that to be the gospel. Well, that's what it is. We named it, therefore it is so. Well, in our brighter moments, we know better than that. But this world is full of ignorance and superstition. Is it not? And it's even full of ignorance and superstition in the world, in the realm, in the embrace of those who think that they're very spiritual sometimes. But I shouldn't get any argument about that. I mean, look around. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. So, because this is a happy, uplifting talk, I don't want to say anything untoward. So, in comes the law. First came creation, then came the law, right at the same time, because those are dual aspects of that divine consciousness. We couldn't have the law first, because a law with nothing to law over really isn't a law at all. So as soon as creation came into being, it immediately needed to have that law. And that law is this. That law says that we are divine rays. We are extensions, we are manifestations, we are iterations of that one divine consciousness that we call God, call spirit, call life. Call it what you will. But we're it. And because we are made of the only substance that divine consciousness had to make anything of, which was itself, we can never be separated from it. We have to learn two seemingly paradoxical things as we go through life. One is the truth of our being, that the life that we have is right here and right now, and it's not going to last. And two, it's never going to end. We are these beings put here to experience, for the divine to experience itself through us. We are the eyes and the ears and the hands and the heart of God. Each of us. And as such, Our charge is to make sure that we do the most with these things that we can. Oh, I should get around to the title of the talk, shouldn't I? I know. I see some of you sitting on the edge of your seats. What are we going to talk about the donkey? Who's ever been called a donkey? Me, and I took offense. But on the other hand, when I got to thinking about it, many years later, I realized I shouldn't have taken offense at all. So here's what happened. It was a drought, a serious, long drought. All the water was gone. Even the farmer's well was just nothing but dirt and dust at the bottom. This poor donkey just wasn't going to be able to stand it another second if he didn't have something to drink. So in desperation, he leans over the well, hoping there might be a little drop down there somewhere at the bottom. And he couldn't smell it, and he couldn't smell it, and he leaned over and he fell in. Well, poor thing. But don't you know, it didn't like that. So it just brayed and keyed and hawed and made such a ruckus that the farmer came running, and he looks down and he sees what's happened. He said, oh my God, what can I do? I can't get the donkey out of there. I can't, there's no way I can get something down there to wrap around him to lift him out, and I can't go down there. So he thinks, he goes away and he says, I need to think about this. And that noise from that donkey, I mean, it just was driving him crazy. They could hear it on neighboring farms. It was so loud. And pretty soon he thought, you know, the only thing to do, the humane thing to do, is just to put this donkey out of its misery. We're just going to have to bury this poor donkey right there where he is, and it'll be brutal, but it'll be over quick, and better than him just starving to death and dehydrating and wasting it away to nothing. So he got together all his friends and relatives and neighbors, and they all brought shovels, and they just started chunking dirt by the shovelful into this well. Oh, what a sound then! There's that donkey. I mean, you could hear him till the ends of the earth. But a few more shovelfuls by everybody, and pretty soon it's dead, so to speak, quiet down there. And the farmer thinks, oh, at last that poor thing is out of his misery. They thought, well, we might as well fill the well while we're here, so just keep on throwing in there. And as they kept throwing dirt in, all at once he saw some movement in there. Turns out it's the donkey's head. Because what had been going on is, from the first shovel full of dirt that went in there, the donkey felt it. That's why he was screaming so loud, then shook it off. And as it fell down, he just stepped on it. And many shovels full later, there he is at the top of the well. And pretty soon they could reach him out and send him off. I hope they gave him some water. I don't know whether that's part of the story or not. But the moral of the story is, I don't know. Have you ever felt that you were in that well? And life, the world, your friends, your relatives, your employer, your co-workers, weren't they shoveling that dirt in on you? So the question is, when that happens, are you going to shake that dirt off and use it to rise above and get yourself back up onto where you belong, or are you going to allow it to bury you under it? Well, I guess that depends on what our image of life is, what our image of God is. So we just have to ask ourselves, what does my God look like? And I'm not talking about physical characteristics, because we know that's just not how it works. You want to see what God looks like? Just look around. Everything you see is some part of God. And to lump all together into one thing we could see just isn't going to happen. It's just not possible. But if we have an angry, vengeful, warring, spiteful, punishing God, It's exactly what we're going to have a life like. Because it can be no other way. The spiritual law says, what we think is what we get. Going back to Carol's reading. Why did the guy die? Just because the seer had told him he was going to? Because that's what he expected to have happen. Did he want that to happen? I have to say no. But the fact is, because of the spiritual law, we know that we do not get what we want. So if you're in a habit of asking God for something that you want, you might as well just go throw it out in the street. We don't get what we want. We get what we expect. Like Jesus said, pray as if it is already yours, and it is. So might there be a little lag time between those two happenings? The praying and it being there? Yeah. But it's already on the way to you. You know, it's true. The very second that happiness and abundance and prosperity and love and community and beauty heard your name, it came running looking for you. I find that heartening. I love the idea that everything that I want is coming to me. I don't even have to paddle upstream to get it. All I got to do is stay in that divine flow and go with that flow, and it's going to catch me anyway. So, our founder, Ernest Holmes, in his book, Your Spiritual Power, said this: we cannot live by proxy or attain by pretense. We are dealing with real laws and actual forces when we deal with mental and spiritual laws, and they cannot be fooled. From our own endeavor will come our own reward. Only now we know that we are dealing with a law which is amply able to fulfill the rightful demands made on it, and which is intelligent enough to always bring them to pass. We are going with the current and not against it, and we should feel equal to any occasion and be overcome by none. Because the law is the law is the law. What we think, what we believe, what we expect to have happen in our deepest recesses of our hearts and souls, that's what's going to happen, because our subjective mind is going to put that demand, if you will. Remember, we don't talk about requests. We don't whine to a God made in our image and likeness for something that we generally, selfishly would love to have. We demand that the universe provide us an exact likeness of that philosophy, that idea, that expectation that we embody. And it does that because it has no other way it can work. The law works in the same way all the time, every time, forever, eternally, infinitely. When we, it was Albert Einstein who said that everything is a vibration. If we just match our vibration to the vibration of that, what we want, it can happen no other way except that it comes to us. So once we impress upon that divine mind the empty shell, if you will, of what we want, it's going to fill it exactly. Because life is, and the law of life is, constant creation, ongoing creation, life and more life. And remember the part about We have to understand that life is in us right here, right now, and isn't going to be forever. Yet life is going to be us. We are going to be life forever. It's pretty straightforward. That mold that we present to that dynamic law, that never-changing law that says, I will fill exactly what it is you want when you tell me what it is you want, what you expect to get, as long as that is for good and it goes along with the nature of love that life is, the law will fulfill that for us. Funny thing about a donkey, let's get back to donkeys, I like them. From the spirit of the Upanishads, the ass carrying a load of sandalwood is conscious only of the burden, not of the fragrant wood. So indeed does he carry about a mere burden, who having studied the religious books knows not their real import and essence. Do you get that? We are all beasts of burden. And our burdens vary, but the fact is, we're not going to relieve that load by reading books about religion. We're not going to loosen that load. We're not going to come into our own. We're not going to be fulfilling the law, the promise that God made when He put us on this plane, as the Christians would say. That's not how it works. You can read all the religious books you want, listen to all the quotes, you can listen to all the ministers and preachers, all the motivational speakers. You can even memorize all the words. All of us know somebody who can quote scripture, chapter and verse, but live a life completely and totally diametrically opposed to the teachings of He in whose name that Christian religion was started. Because remember, Jesus never said, worship me. Jesus never said, don't worry about it. Do whatever you want, I'll take care of it for you. Jesus wasn't a mob boss. What He said was, follow me. Do what I do, learn what I learn, know what I know. Embody the truth of the existence of life, and it can only go your way. It can't go any other way. Also, another thing from the spirit of the Upanishads, liberation is not on the other side of the sky, nor in the netherworld, nor on earth. Liberation lies in the mind purified by proper spiritual knowing. And that's why I say, nobody can know God for us. Nice. The divine has just checked that box for me. I love that.
Perfect time.
So, although everybody has an opinion, everybody has an idea, and everybody has a philosophy, and all those, there are similarities in all of them, obviously. I mean, we don't have 8 billion different religions or philosophies, but in a manner of speaking, we do. Because each of them is a little bit different. Each of them is seen and filtered through the lens of our own experience. So to say that is saying a lot. Each of us gets to know the God of his or her understanding by themselves and by themselves only. Now it's true we might have a lot of similarities in how we feel and what we think and our philosophizing and our religiosity and our spirituality, but the fact is, it's all individual. Each one of us has a different filter on this. I wonder if down in the bottom of that well, if the donkey saw any flowers growing. I mean, the water had been gone for a while, but don't flowers grow everywhere? Doesn't growth occur? You ever gone into like a parking lot or a sidewalk and there's a little crack in the cement and there's something growing up out of it? Or you go hiking up in you ever been to Yosemite and that great big huge expanse of rock that's there? It's all rock, it's solid rock. And yet, in these little nooks and crannies, there's growing plants. Not always plants, sometimes, well, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, a couple of friends and I decided we needed some spending money, and we could, I don't know how it is today for kids in high school. I guess it's a little bit different because there's a gazillion fast food joints, but there just weren't back then. But we checked every business in town, we found one person who would hire us. And the three of us. I don't know what he was thinking. So we got a job on the weekends at the dairy. We were shoveling the dried cow dung into fertilizer bags because the guy decided that he could make money off of this stuff, which he did. He had bags of, we stacked the whole front of that drive-through dairy with bags of fertilizer. But one thing that I noticed was each weekend when we'd show up there, on the top of this dung heap, were growing plants. Dandelions, so some of us call them weeds. I'm pretty sure when God created the dandelion, God did not say, well, we've got so many beautiful flowers, I think we need a weed now. No, we are the ones who made that determination, right? We are the ones who call something beautiful or call something not so beautiful or whatever other term we want to use. And sometimes don't we just have this literal poverty of ideas? Even though there's so many different, and even though there's 8 billion people with their own spirituality, in here there's still this poverty of ideas. We keep thinking that for some reason, religious people down through the centuries, I don't know, maybe in some sort of manner of justifying their jobs or their positions or something, figured out they always need to keep bringing in their own spin on things, their own spin on spirituality to make sense to other people and, of course, to press other people into believing what they believe. But the fact is, we don't need the pull of those things. We don't need the pull of those ideas and philosophies and concepts from somebody else to raise us into that spiritual realm where we belong, where we should be staying all the time. What we need is the opposite. We need that inner spiritual push to get us there. Because somebody else's idea is not our knowingness. Well, we can say, yeah, I understand, think I do, I think I get it. Yeah, so let me just repeat what you just said over and over and over and over, and then people will understand it. I get it. God and I are one. Because I speak the language. It's not about speaking the language. Some of the most beloved, some of the most helpful people, some of the most spiritually inclined people are people who couldn't recite for you a single word from any religious tome. Nor do they need to. Because it's not so much the words we say as it is that feeling behind what we're saying. We all know this is, haven't you ever heard somebody going on and on and on, speaking of, going on and on and on about something, but obviously doesn't believe a word of what he or she is saying? It's just that that's what's expected to be heard. We don't need that. That's not our job. From It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes. The trouble is that for so long the world has looked upon things spiritual as being unnatural, that men stand a little aghast at the word. And they are practically incredulous when told that by their own thought they can reach out and contact the source of all good. You mean I can do this myself? By their own thought, they can demonstrate abundance. By their own thought, they can change joy into sorrow. By their own thought, they can change their physical environment. It at first sounds so incredible that thousands of us never even try it. You remember what Ernest Holmes said at a Silomar, I think the last time he spoke there. Give me 1,000 people only, just give me 1,000 people who can practice the science of mind, who can demonstrate their belief, who can manifest in their world exactly what it is they want to have. Just give me 1,000 of them. And we can change the whole world. And we have way more than 1,000 people in this body we call the science of mind. But I'm just going to guess by looking around that not all of them are particularly adept at using that law and demonstrating, making their physical world be exactly what it is, because they don't really believe that somehow. Oh, it sounds great. I'm going to go see a practitioner. They're going to fix my world. No, they're not. But they're going to give you the tools to fix your own world, because nobody can fix our world for us. Nobody can fix my world for me. Nobody can fix your world for you. The only person that can fix anything is me. Me. I'm the only one who can fix it, and if I do not fix it, it's not going to get fixed. There's going to come a day when I'm just going to expire, having left all of that potential that I was born with, that Christ consciousness within me gifted me with, and just had it go to waste. It was impotent because I never used it. So, let me just end that with this. Be that donkey. Be that donkey. And just hope that everybody you know comes around with a shovel and starts throwing that dirt in on you. Because that's where growth comes from. Growth comes from overcoming all that dirt that's piled on us. So let's just take this into prayer. Let's just know together that in this world, in this life, in this thing that I call my life, when I concentrate on being rather than on having, when I concentrate on the law of growth, when I concentrate on the law of expansion, that all these things bring into my world everything that I could ever wish to have. My firmest prayer is this: God, help me be the kind of person that all this good, this prosperity, this abundance, this beauty, this joy community wants to attract itself to. Let me be that vessel that is involving your divine nature and sending it forth again out into the world. Let me be part of that divine flow. Let me understand that the way it works is the only way it can work. That my faith and my trust and my spirituality, my belief in the goodness of life is what brings to me every other thing I could possibly want. I don't need to ask for particular things. All I need to ask for is to be the person who deserves the best, and the best will be mine. So with a grateful heart, I just say thank you, God, for this. Thank you. I just release this word into that law, knowing it is already so. And together we say, and so it is. Let's just know that this is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are grateful. So without that support, we wouldn't have a center here to function the way we do. And for those of us who are not ready to return yet in person, but are still watching online, thank you for your continued support by way of your auto tithes, your donate button on the website, and mailing in your offerings. Or those of you who just stop by to see one of our practitioners during the week. We bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they are given from the main core of who we are. We send them forth to do their good work in this spiritual community, in the community at large, and indeed in the world at large. We send them forth to do their work with no strings and no conditions. So it is.
Oh, we have come with arms wide open.
everybody stand up. And let's just know this together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called law.
It's this thing called law.
It works for me.
It works for me.
It works through me.
It works through me.
I am so grateful.
I am so grateful.
Thank you, God, in me.